Welcome, everyone, to Inside Meditation Community of Charlotte. I'm Clyde, one of the 6 Dharma leaders here. Take a moment to kind of stretch, see who's here, and we'll get started. And the Zoomers, we've got, how many? 22 people out here on Zoom, and at least almost 30 here in the room, so we've got a good group of Sangha members tonight. And for those in the room, I don't know how to turn those lights out up there. Just to let you know, I don't know where the switch is. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about, I'm going to take you on, as the title of the talk is Coming Back to the Body. And it's really me coming back to my body, so I'm going to bring you on my journey the past 3 or 4 months of me coming back to my body. Because I'm a real analytical person. I live in my head. But I want to start out with this. This is from Larry Rosenberg's book called 3 Steps to Awakening. Larry wrote a lot on the Anapanasati Sutta, which is the mindfulness of breathing. He's done a lot about it. And this is his last book on that. But it also has a good way of describing kind of why we practice. He wrote, "You could say your life unfolds on 2 tracks. There's the track of the mind, where you are being governed by giving over authority to the productions of the mind. On this track, you are almost exclusively thinking your way through life. The mind is between you and the raw, naked, intimate experience of life itself." Then he goes on, he says, "The other track is the Dharma track. You're awake, you're in a state of attention, you're present, you're directly in touch with your experience, unmediated by ideas, images, conclusions, or notions. Just this, at this very moment, whether you know it or not, each breath happens right here and right now. Little by little, the question becomes, are you intimate with this breath, just as it is, intimate being not separate but fully experiencing whatever you experience?" And that's what we do in meditation, is try to be with what's happening right here, right now. He goes on to say, when the mind gets caught up with its productions, and I like that word, that productions, that's our prapancha, that's that rumination, that's our thinking. Can you return to the body and the breathing? Now, most of my training, and particularly this is meditation and also in mindfulness, that I've learned, you come back to the breath. You come back to the breath over and over and over. But it seems like I'm missing another resource here, coming back to the body. And how do I come back to the body? Where did I miss that part of coming back to the body? I come back to the breath is in and out, and watching all this. But what about the body? So this is what I'm looking at. So how am I going to do this? How do I come back to my body, and how do I use it to be mindful in the day-to-day, not just on the cushion, but on my day-to-day practice? Well, I do this through the 6 senses. And most of you in here are probably familiar with that. And on Zoom, and the Buddhist teachings, there are 6 senses. And these are important because this is how the Buddha said we experience the world. We experience it either through the 5 aggregates, or we experience it through the 6 senses. And I'm going to briefly go over the 6 senses just to bring everybody up, so we can kind of see how this works and why it's important. It's like, this is how we know what's going to happen. This is the knowing. This is our consciousness. So there's 6 senses. There's the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. The mind is the 6th sense in the Buddhist teachings. Now, these are the internal senses. So they call these the internal bases. There's the external bases, and they're important also. There's, for the eye, they're a form of objects. This computer is an object. If I'm looking at it, this is the eye, this is the computer, this is the form. Obviously, sounds, smell, taste, touch, sensations are for the body. And then there's these mental objects. I like the way Larry Rosenberg calls them productions. I have a lot of productions in my mind. Thoughts, reasoning, memory, reflection, moods, emotions. Those are productions that we live in, that we go over and over all the time. But what has to happen is that you have those are called the external sense bases. They're external sense bases, even though their thoughts are still considered external. But there has to be the sense base, the physical one. Then there's these external ones. There has to be contact. Without contact, it doesn't happen. There has to be contact. I have to see you. I have to see the computer for there to be to knowing. So when contact happens, then consciousness arises, and that's the knowing. And there are 6 consciousness. There's an eye consciousness, an ear consciousness, a nose consciousness, a tongue consciousness, a body consciousness, and a mind consciousness. And that consciousness is how we experience the world. Okay? So, and tonight I'm really going to focus on the body, because I focus so much on the mind. We come back to the mind, we get to the mind, we've got to control it. It's really important that we do this, but tonight I'm going to focus on the body. But these are important to know these, because this is the totality of our experience. We said this is everything. There's nothing outside of these 6 senses. The other reason it's very important is that these are the channels through which suffering originate. These are the channels through which suffering originates. How does this happen? There's the sense organ. There's a sense object. There's contact. Consciousness arises. You've heard the term Vedana. That's either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling tone. Either I want it or I don't want it, or I just ignored it. That happens. And then based on that, usually it leads to some type of craving, clinging, and suffering. But it happens through the 6 senses. These are the channels. So it's important we work with these and know these. Buddha says that it's very important for us to guard our senses. And he said the best way to guard your senses is through mindfulness of the body. So when I was working with all this, I said, well, how do I do this? How am I going to, this was over the past 3 or 4 months, I'm going like, well, how do I come back to my body? How do I use the senses in doing this? So I came up with this little thing, and I'm going to tell you what I do and why I think it's important, and then I'm going to give you some my reflections on what happened. This is what I do. Every once in a while during the day, and I know we've been practicing mindfulness for years, and we want to come back and be mindful, but I go like, what's going on in my body right now? What's going on? And I really focus on the sensations. And I'll even go through each of the 5 senses. I'll go, hearing is happening, seeing is happening, smelling is happening all the time. We were smelling what's happening all the time you were breathing. It's just neutral. You don't notice it. But I really focus on the sensations. Right now, if you went, what sensations? There's pressure where your buttocks is on the chair. There's sensations all in my body, and I'll stop and go, what are the sensations going on in my body right now? So I go through, and of course there's always thinking. That's one of them. I'm not focusing on that so much tonight. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to come in and go like, what's happening right now? What's happening in my body right now? I deliberately bring my attention to each sense organ. It only takes a few seconds to do, but I come back to that. It's just like being mindful, but it's just another way. I've always come back. I always would come back like, what's going on in my mind? What are my thoughts going on? And I ignored my body. What's going on in my body? So why does this help? Andrew Alinsky, in his book Unlimited Mind, he writes this. Here's the thing. These 5 sense inputs can only access information that is happening in the present moment. our senses can only operate in the present moment. They are each connected to specialized receptors at the end of nerve bundles, which are responding to real-time stimuli with present moment representation. What do we say all the time? We want to be in the present moment. This is what we're doing. You cannot directly experience a touch that took place years ago, nor hear a bell that is not yet rung. When we appear to do this by remembering past experiences or by imagining future experience, we're using the sixth mode of consciousness. That's the mind, or that's thinking. So that's the sixth one. That's thinking. That's what we're doing. So, and the reason that this works, this coming back to the body, is that the mind can be aware of only one thing at a time. If it is a thought, there is no sense cognition, and in a moment of sense cognition, there are no thoughts. So that's very subtle. That's very subtle. If you come back and go, you probably have done this. Stump your toe and see if you have any thoughts. I mean, in that moment of sensation, you're focused on that sensation right there. It's very, very quick and very fast, but you'd be surprised. You will see that. We've said in here over and over, the body is always in the present moment. Now, it can only be in the present moment. Now, the mind, thinking, is always in the present moment also. But it can go back and forth. It can think of past things. It can think of memories. It can think of future planning. It can start just doing all kinds of things. But the thinking, if you look at just thinking, happens in the present moment. Thinking happens in the present, just like it happens in the present moment. Okay, so during the day, I go through and say, okay, what's happening in my body? So I really focus on the sensations in the body. It's what I've been doing. To kind of use the body and not just the mind to be in the present moment. And this tells me, if I focus on my body, I'm in the present moment. So here are some observations and reflections while I've been doing this. Now remember, our practice is experiential, which means that it is your practice. And this is what I experienced. You may not experience this, but this is what I have been experiencing. At the gym, this is kind of what started on it. I was on the exercise bike. I hate doing aerobic exercise. I love going to the gym and doing all this other stuff, but I don't like doing aerobic exercises. But I was sitting there one day and I was on the bike. Your legs are going up and down like this. And of course, where's your mind? My mind was out here, and it dawned on me. My mind and my body were not together. My body, and this is how I live my life. My body's here doing this, and my mind's off somewhere else. And I realized they're not together. What would it be like if my body and my mind were together? It was hard because when I started focusing on my body, my legs and stuff, it was like I was trying to focus on the up and down of the sensations like that. Yeah, so what I started, and even I used to have a stretching exercise. So there's a lot of yogis in here, a lot of yoga teachers in here. I do one, it's a yin thing, so I'm lying on the ground, but I time it as a minute. And I used to time this, I'm pulling this leg up and I'm timing, I'm holding it, because that's what the yin does. But usually I'm sitting there pulling this leg up, my mind's over here listening to what these people over here are saying. Or looking at this hot body go down this way. Okay. And I didn't realize, so what I did, what I started doing was when I'm pulling that leg in, I shut my eyes, I focus on the sensation in that leg. And I stay with it for a minute. And it's just that. It's a stretch, it's a pull, it's tension, it's warmth, but I'm staying with that sensation the whole time. And when you do that, you'll realize when that happens, you're not going to be thinking as much. You could be just awareness. It's awareness of that tension, that sensation. And I'm trying to do that now. And then I switch, and sometimes I find myself wandering. I'll come back to that sensation. It gives you something other than the breath to come back to. That's it. And when you're doing this yoga, which I'm not having to balance, which is a different story, if you're not having to balance, I can focus on the sensations as I'm doing that. So that was one thing. Okay, so I'm trying to pay more attention as I'm doing things. The next one was kind of like a duh moment. I went, we have 5 bodily senses and 1 mental sense. If I want to be in the present moment, why not use the 5? I mean, really. While observing the mind is very, very important, ignoring the body senses allows the defilements to arise in the mind. Greed, hatred, and delusion. They are. That's why you have to guard the senses. They come in through the sense gates, through seeing, through hearing, through smelling, through tasting. That's where the defilements enter. So why not use the 5? Focus on the. I used to think the mind. Well, there's anger or there's greed or something. Well, it came in. So it might have been a thought, or it might have been I saw something, or I heard something, and it triggered that, and there comes that defilement. So why not use the 5? Finally, after all these years, I began to notice also how much the body conditions, the mind conditions the body. The breath is really the connector between the mind and the body. We talk about the breath condition the mind, the breath condition the body, but the mind, I notice how much the mind can really condition the body. The other day I was getting ready to do something. I was getting ready. I had to go pick someone up. We were going to a meeting, and my alarm, my smoke detector battery went dead and started beeping. So, well, I can't leave this here all day doing this, you know. So I started, and I said, you know how your body, and then you start getting this mad rush, and I went, the body doesn't know late. The mind was late and got all upset. When I came back, well, the body doesn't know late. And I worked, I got it, I fixed it, and I was on time. Try that sometimes. Come back to the body. This is it. Driving, I've noticed in driving, I go like, there'll be something happen, I'm like, I go, wait a minute, the body's just sitting here driving. It's the mind that's conditioning that a lot. Now, the body itself has a lot of, it does some things on its own too. It's gonna protect us. It has its innate thing going on. But I'm noticing how much the mind is conditioning the body and how we get caught up in that. Another thing I noticed, that in the simple, pure nature of being aware of the sense, and this is when we say, in the seeing, there's only the seeing. In the hearing, there's only the hearing. In the thinking, there's only the thinking. In that moment when that's happening, greed, hatred, and delusion are absent. And I'll say that again. In that moment when I'm just going, that's a sensation. That's a sensation. Greed, hatred, and delusion are not there. And then I started out, is the eye greedy? Is the ear angry? Is my body deluded? Work with that. See what you come up with. But I think that's really the meaning of when they're saying, in the seeing, there's only the seeing. Now here's another one that like I said, this is my experience. I realized, like, what's really real? You're hearing me, but where is it real? Where is it real for you? You're seeing me. Where is it real for you? Where are you experiencing sound in your ear? That's the moment, that's where it's real. You experience sight here, that's where it's real. Taste is an easier one because you're tasting and that's where it's here. Smell, where is it happening? It's happening here. The odor something might have been cooked over there, but where is it real for you? It's in that sense. Whereas touch is here, it's real. Like when I'm sitting here, it's real. I know, it's a knowing, it's a conscious, I'm knowing. And this one kind of freaked me out, so but I did look up Tejaniya, and this is what he says. An experience is just an experience. This simple experience isn't conceptual. It's just what it is, just as such as seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, or touching. Reality is just knowing what is known. Just knowing that you're seeing, knowing that you're tasting, knowing it. That is reality. You can work with that one also. And so the other thing is that it gave me a brief opportunity to practice just the knowing. You know, we talk about continuous mindfulness and all this mindfulness, but it gave me a chance to go, okay, for this 4 seconds that I'm going to sit here and do this, there's just seeing, there's just hearing, there's just knowing, there's just tasting. But I really work the sensations in my body. What's going on in my body? I have some tingling in my hands, and there's pressure here. There's tingling in my feet. There may be there's a little bit of sweat right here on my lips right now. What are the sensations in my body? That is real. That is in the present moment. And as I do that, I also like to make sure I'm not adding anything to it, because that's where the problem comes. It's just, even thinking, it's just thinking. No matter what the content is, just be aware of the thinking, aware of the seeing. Now this is hard to do. It's kind of odd, but it can be done. Tejaniya says it all the time. Seeing is just to get out there and walk around and just see. Seeing is just seeing. So it gives you a chance to just do that knowing. And if I do add something to it, I want to know. I want to see me adding something to it. It really goes back to what we said earlier, what Larry said earlier. It's like, how can I be intimate with this moment using the body? And that was just a little tool that I came up with to try it. I'm still working with it. Those are some observations I have. And like our practice is always, you have to make it your practice. Do you find things that work for you? But take a minute and see, what's happening. Don't ignore the sensations in your body. Use the five bodily senses to help you come and be in the present moment. Thank you for listening to my journey.